You know, most language learning apps treat our brains like these empty jars, right? Their whole goal is just to stuff us full of words. But what if that's the completely wrong way to think about it? Today, we're going to look at a method that doesn't see you as a jar. It sees you as an athlete, training for the big leagues. This is the YAKKI EDU method.
So let's just start right there with that one question. Which one are you? Have you been learning like a container, just kind of passively hoping vocabulary lists and grammar rules will just soak in? Or are you ready to be an athlete, someone who actually jumps in, builds cognitive muscle, and really gets their hands dirty with the language itself?
Okay, let's break this down a bit. On one side, you've got the whole container idea. Filling up, memorizing lists. It's basically like watching a sport from the sidelines. But look at the athlete side. They're in the game. They're breaking things, fixing sentences, actually building muscle. And this is the most important part. They are touching the language. That idea is the absolute core of what we're looking at here.
Right. So, every athlete has to start with the fundamentals. And for language, that means vocabulary. These are the bricks you're going to use to build everything else. So, let's dive into the first workout.
First up, we've got a tool you've probably seen before, but with a seriously powerful twist. The method calls this libnum1, or smart flashcards, and you should really think of this as your own personal memory engine.
The actual process couldn't be simpler. You see a word, do you know it? Swipe right. Don't know it? Swipe left. The card does this really satisfying flip, you see if you're right, and you just keep going. It's super easy. But the real magic here, it's not in the swipe.
Nope, the real power is in the science behind it. This whole thing is run by something called a spaced repetition system, or SRS. It's basically this incredibly smart algorithm that figures out your personal forgetting curve. It knows the exact moment you're about to forget a word, and then, bam, it shows it to you again, locking it into your long-term memory for good.
But let's be honest, that's not really how our brains work, right? We don't just memorize words in a vacuum. Our brains love connections. And that brings us to the next workout, lib number 4, called word pairs. And its whole job is to be a powerful connector.
Now this one feels way more like a game. You get this grid of words all jumbled up, you tap one, say hot, and then you have to hunt for its opposite, cold. As soon as you tap it, this cool little laser line zaps between them and they both disappear. It's fast, it's fun, and it really forces you to think about how words relate to each other. And what this is doing is tapping into the science of semantic networks. See, instead of learning words like they're a bunch of isolated islands, you're actually building a rich, interconnected map inside your head. Hot isn't just a word anymore. It's like to cold, warm, fire, maybe even sun. And that's how you build a vocabulary that's actually flexible and ready to use in a real conversation.
All right, so we've got our supply of bricks. Now we need the mortar that holds them all together. That brings us to section 2, structure and sound. This is where we learn how all those words actually fit together to make sense.
Our first stop in this section is an exercise called Lib 7, sentence sorting. And here, you're not really a student, you're more like a linguistic constructor, and you've got a puzzle to solve.
I want you to just imagine seeing a perfectly good sentence suddenly shatter into these little floating word chips. Your job is to physically grab them and drag them back into the correct order. You're not just reading a grammar rule, you are feeling the structure as you rebuild the sentence with your own hands.
And the whole point of a drill like this is to make your brain internalize the core patterns of the language. For English, that's that super rigid subject-verb-object word order. You do this enough times, and that structure stops being a rule you have to remember, and it just becomes, well, a pattern you feel in your gut. It becomes instinctive.
Okay, now for the ears. Language isn't just words on a page, it's sound. So this next drill, Lib 8, is all about audio. It's called the discriminator.
So what I absolutely love about this one is that the screen goes completely blank. No visual cues, nothing to help you. It is just you and the sound. You'll hear a really subtle difference, something like ship versus sheep, and you have to pick the one you heard. It totally isolates your sense of hearing and forces you to focus.
And the science at play here is called phonemic awareness. You're literally training your ear to catch those tiny but crucial sounds in English that might not even exist in your native language. And this skill is absolutely critical, not just for understanding native speakers, but for fixing your own pronunciation, too.
Okay, deep breath. We've been through the gym. We've done our drills for vocabulary, for grammar, for listening, but all of that, That was just the warm-up. This next part is the main event. This is the super feature, and they call it the living text engine.
And this quote just says it all perfectly. This is not a drill. This is the lab. We are leaving the structured exercises behind. We are now walking into a laboratory where we don't just read language, we get to experiment with it.
So what's in the lab? Well, you've got 5 incredible tools at your disposal: Detective, Scrambler, Weaver, Context, and Transformer. And each one of these turns the simple act of reading a story into this dynamic, hands-on puzzle.
So check out Detective Mode. Your mission is to find all the past tense verbs in a story. But when you tap them, you don't just get some boring yellow highlight. Oh no. Instead, these awesome organic liquid shapes flow and pour around the words, making the whole text feel like it's alive.
Okay, this next one is just wild. In Scrambler mode, you'll be reading a paragraph and all of a sudden a sentence right in the middle of it will just explode into a jumble of words. And it's your job to perform linguistic surgery right then and there, dragging the pieces back into order while they're still inside the text. It's crazy.
Or what about context mode? This one tackles one of the trickiest parts of reading in any language: pronouns. You see the word he, but who is he? Here, you physically draw a line on the screen from the word he back to the person it's talking about, and this beautiful arrow appears, making those invisible connections totally visible.
So think about where we've been. We started in the gym, doing these structured drills for vocabulary and grammar, all the fundamentals. But as any athlete will tell you, the real learning happens when you stop doing drills and you start to actually play the game. And that's this. We've ended up on a playground where you can touch and bend and truly play with the language. This is where you build the instincts that actually lead to real fluency.
And that really brings us right to the heart of this entire method. It's such a simple but powerful shift in how we think about learning. So I'll just leave you with this one final question to think about. If your textbook became a video game, do you think you would ever stop playing?